We'll start by introducing the jury. So we have members of the game dev industry and also members of the gaming press in Romania. So we have Marian Andrei from ProTV. Mircea Dimitriu, nivelul 2. Sebastian Honciuc, PGL. Ivan Fernandez, Game Lab, Barcelona. Damir Durovic, Reboot. Nestor Forhan, Electronic Arts. And Josh Naylor, Unity. And yours truly, Cătălin Butnariu. So the first, the order of the teams presenting was decided thanks to random.org. So the first guys who will be presenting their game, Critique Gaming. Guys, you have 10 minutes. Good luck.
Before I begin, let me check. Can everybody hear me without the mic? Everyone? Yeah. Cool. You can't drop it. Okay.
It's better for the recording if you use the mic.
Oh, okay, so fine. Cool. So, good morning, everyone. I'm David. I'm Critique's game designer and writer. Before we get into it, I first want to ask everyone a question. I want to poll the room. How many of you have, in the last year, lied? Be honest with yourselves. How many of you have said a lie in the last year at some point or another? Okay, good. People with hands down, I'm not confident but still. Of these people raising your hands, how many of you have been caught lying in the last year? Who has been caught with the lie? Well, you're confident. Some of you, I'm telling you, got caught, you just didn't know. Okay, we're gonna get back to this soon. So let me tell you quickly about Critique. We're not the typical story. We're not the game devs that moved on from a big company to their own thing. We're a very diverse group with very different social backgrounds, very different backgrounds in terms of education. We come from economy, law, all sorts of these directions. We have various art background. And what we want to do, what we like to do are games that are meaningful, games that are pointful, games that ask questions, that explore interesting ideas and topics in society. And essentially, how we came to our game, how we came to Interrogate is the following. We went to Amber Jam, and at Amber Jam, we got under the surface as a theme. We wanted to do more with that. We wanted to look at it metaphorically, and we decided we want to look under the surface of people, what people keep under the surface. And this brings us back to lying. What do people lie about? How do we uncover that? It's in narrative history, it's huge. From the Iliads to Shakespeare to Game of Thrones, lying is central, right? People lying for the right reasons, the wrong reasons, people being caught or not with those lies and what that leads to. We wanted to explore that, and of course we want to have a compelling, exciting game. So where we thought that comes together is in that pop culture scene of interrogation, of the cop, the investigator, interrogating, grilling a suspect for important answers. And that's what we wanted to convey with our game. And that's how it started. And that's what we've built since the Game Jam as well. And in the Game Jam, that's what we build our prototype to be, to have this question of, can you get the answers in time? In terms of what the game is like, we right now have an experience that is revolved around you having a subject, you have a time-clicking 5 minutes counting down. You have to manage the suspect. You have to look at their emotions. You have to create fear, empathy. You have to look at information. You have 3 different subjects. You have to cross-examine them. You have to check whether information checks out between them. You have to look at questions of their background. You read their file and check what they might respond well to, what they might not respond well to. You even have access to torture. Whether you access that torture has consequences and is up for you to decide when and how to use. All of this we wanted to build in a strong atmosphere. We have a lot of art and custom music made to the point of creating tension. The tension that 5 minutes are clicking, you have to find out who the person is and where they have the bomb. All of these steps need to be gone through. It's meant to be a hard game. It's meant to be a game you don't get on the first try. It's meant to be a game you try multiple times until you get the gist of it. We wanted to make these characters be real people. We looked in depth at their psychology. We wanted to make them nuanced and realistic. And we think we've achieved that, and we would like to achieve a lot more than that in the future. Now, in terms of what we'd like to do with interrogation, why we need your support is we want to develop it into being a lot more. There's all sorts of things we want to do. Just to give some examples, there are user interface improvements we want to do, make it friendly, make it intuitive, make it as less cluttered as possible. We want to make sure we minimize text. Text is important. We're accessing the player's imagination, but we want to rely on it as little as possible. We want to have a nice curve. Right now, the game throws you right into the difficult version of the game. We want to have a nice Police Academy tutorial phase in which you learn the specificities of interrogation. We want to look at we want to have animation, facial expressions, right? So you can read the person you're talking to, see their reactions, see their face, and take things from that. We want to make sure there's perspective. We want 2.5D for there to be a less static backdrop. We want to develop into a campaign mode in which you make decisions about how you manage your informants, the press, all sorts of questions like that. We want you to make choices, hard choices about how you manage these things, and these choices to later have consequences. What you do within the interrogation, what happens with your overall department, and so on. We want to make sure that we have a screen. Well, anyway, we want to make sure we do a lot of things. We want to make sure that all of these things lead together into an exciting game that you're invested in. Which brings me to the sort of people that we think will play this game. We're looking essentially at the sort of gamers that appreciate an intellectual challenge, that appreciate the question of being engaged with a compelling story that they feel is really interacting with them, that is really saying important things. The model we're looking at to putting this out is essentially having an initial chapter that showcases the story, that starts off the story. We'd love to have cutscenes with comics and motion comics that get you even deeper into the immersion and the story of you fighting this terrorist organization and dealing with the issues it brings up, the bombs it's planning. And we think this sort of player, if you don't like this sort of game, you don't like this sort of game. Like, we know that. But the sort of people that do like this game like this sort of game. If they feel really this is for them, they will follow our game. And we believe really that we want to access this sort of people. So essentially, we are really proud of our prototype. We like what it is. We like that it's the core of something much bigger that could be. We're very excited about developing it into this big experience, this big story, this big exploration together with our players. And we hope for your support. And therefore, for the rest of my time, I would like to subject myself to your interrogation. If there are any questions, I'm at your disposal.
You mentioned that you're part of some kind of a police force or investigation unit. And I saw in the mock-up of the menu that there is like enhanced interrogation. And you actually told us that that's torture. So don't you find it a bit controversial to like include torture in a game?
We're telling a story and we're doing social commentary. How the torture mechanic works is that you put it up, you can do softer things like grasping a subject or putting them up against the wall, or hardcore things like waterboarding or torturing them with knives. That's a lesson, because how the game actually works is that you have a cruelty meter that tracks how much of this you're doing. If you actually systematically employ torture in any way, your cruelty goes up. This is recorded by the game. This is then information in the game world. That makes more terrorists spring up because they're seeing an abusive government that they want to act against. And you're told at the end of the level, you caused more people to join terrorist groups by the way you acted rather than the people you saved from the bomb. And this is, morally speaking at least, a loss. So we want it there because we want to talk about it.
Isn't the game quite repetitive?
We think there are a lot of things we can do with it to variate the mechanics of it to keep it entertaining from a gameplay sense. We can work with various numbers of suspects. We can work with 2 or 3 or 4. We can work with variations in the time limit and how that flows. We think the campaign in between the levels is very interesting. We also want to have further episodes that further the story. And we want to do even bigger variations like internal affairs coming to interrogate you. You becoming the subject of the interrogation. How do you manage answering questions and managing all that information? And what do you give out? What don't you? How do you avoid getting tortured by the people interrogating you?
How about monetization? How do you want to make money out of it?
Like I said, we're looking at a first chapter that includes a few episodes that show where the story is going and how it works and what the game feels like. And then further chapters that would be bought on a per chapter basis with a few initial chapters being ready from launch for buying. And then if those are popular, further developing further episodes towards a nice, even conclusion of the story within a number of chapters.
How many hours of gameplay does the first chapter have?
We don't consider what we have the first chapter. What we have right now, it has somewhere between 15 and 40 minutes of gameplay, the prototype. The first chapter we would see as something of a 2-hour experience, but that depends a lot on how you choose to play it, because it's the sort of game that lets you play it again to play it differently. You can go the hardcore bad cop route, you can go friendly cop, and things in between. So we believe that it's sort of like 2 hours, but it can be more for those that are hooked into it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Critique Gaming. Next up, Devious Technologies.
Marble Land, please. Hi, my name is George Tudor. I am the founder of Devious Technologies, which is a new indie games company. I am here to talk to you about a virtual reality game that we're making called Marble Land. To tell you a bit about myself, I am a programmer by trade. I have worked for Ubisoft for a number of years as an online and engine programmer. And sometime towards the end of last year, I decided to quit my cushy job at Ubisoft and try to strike out on my own. First of all, why did I choose to make a VR game as my first indie project? I first got the chance to try the Oculus Rift about 2 years ago. And within 15 seconds of putting the headset on, I was sold. I mean, this was the first version of the Oculus Rift. The resolution was crap, the head tracking was horrible, and 90% of the demos made you sick. But I saw an enormous potential in the technology to be something transformative. And for me, it was pretty obvious that this was the way to go forward. And a lot of people are reluctant to get onto the VR market right now because they say that the market is not ready. And they're right, the market is not ready if you want to make big budget titles. If you want to make a $4 million game, you're not going to make your money back because there are not enough consumers. But I think this might be just a great opportunity for indies to come in with low budget, creative works, and to be able to make a name for ourselves in the market before the AAA studios come in and ruin everything. And furthermore, the people want VR content. A lot of the games that are right now on the marketplace are pretty much low effort in terms of polish and content. And I think we can do better. okay, so as myself, okay, so I decided to make a VR game. What now? Where do I go from here? And I knew right off the bat that we had to target the Gear VR. Because if you look at the install base of the Gear VR, it's about 4 times that of the Rift and the Vive combined. Furthermore, if you target the Gear VR as your base platform, you're also going to release the game on the Rift, on the Vive, and on any other headset that might come afterwards. You know, PlayStation VR and Google Daydream and so on. So that's how I came with the idea of doing Marble Land, because I wanted to make a game that is not just for the hardcore VR enthusiasts that are always asking, oh, we need more horror games. We need more games where you jump out of planes and stuff like that. I wanted to make a game that is fun and comfortable for everybody that consumes VR content. And the concept for Marble Land is partly inspired by the Portal series and partly by The Incredible Machines, both of which are games that I really love. And the basic idea is very simple. You need to get a marble from its starting point onto a finished platform. You have no way of interacting with the marble directly. You just have to guide its path by using mechanics in the level. Across the level, you have all sorts of obstacles that you need to get around or get through. For example, closed gates, blocking debris, or exploding cubes that destroy your marble on contact. And to get around these, you have to use all sorts of mechanics. For example, this is a reflector panel. When the marble hits the panel, depending on the configuration that the user chose for the panel before releasing the marble, it can go in any of the 2 directions, either left or to the right. The player interacts with these mechanics just by looking at them, just by viewing them for 2 seconds. They usually have around 2 or 3 states, and the player switches from one state to the other. Another mechanic would be the portals, pretty straightforward. So the marble goes into one side and comes out in another side of the level through another portal. Or a steam vent. When the marble gets into the range of the steam vent, it accelerates the marble away from it. So the basic gameplay loop here would be, you change something in the level, you spawn a marble, watch where it goes. You change something else in the level, you spawn another marble, watch where it goes. So after doing the initial prototype for Marble Land, we got a lot of really good feedback. So I said, okay, well, I think we can make a game out of this. And I went out and found some reinforcements. And I found a game designer and a 3D artist, both of them experienced developers that have worked in some of the big companies in Bucharest, like Gameloft and King, among others. And now we are a 3-man team. We started redoing all of the artwork for Marble Land because we want to take advantage of our unique gameplay proposition and our experience in order to bring an artistic style that is more than just the polygonal art style or cartoon style that a lot of these VR games use right now. We've also started designing the first 5 levels of the game, making sure not to make the same mistakes because I made a lot of mistakes in the original prototype. Our plans are to launch the game within the next 6 to 8 months, so that will be about April or May. Initially on the Gear VR store, the Oculus store, and Steam, of course. We are targeting around 25 to 30 levels with about 4 hours of gameplay. That's pretty much it.
You say you're going to target Oculus and Vive. What kind of input mechanic are you thinking for the controllers rather than just gears based?
Okay, so the game itself can be played without any input controller at all. You can just use the headset to look at the mechanics and focus on them for 2 seconds and it will work. Other than that, we're going to support regular Xbox controllers. We're going to support the motion controllers, but not in the sense that they are going to be hand-tracked necessarily, but just as input. You still select the mechanic you want by looking at it and just press the input button to activate it.
I heard your reasons for developing in VR, but as a player, why do I want to play this in VR? Why do I want to? What is the added value of playing this in VR?
Okay, so first of all, what we are trying to do is to make the game look truly beautiful and make the VR world that the puzzle is in immersive and coherent. And the puzzle will be designed all around the player. I mean, not 360, but something like 180 degrees in front of the player. So you have something happening to the left, something happening to the right. Something you interact with here could change something in the right direction. We're going to also scale it up vertically. We're going to have multiple platforms, one on top of the other, and the marble can travel through different heights. And you can use the VR headset to give you an advantage in looking at the best point to guide the marble at your current position.
So you spawn a marble every time you want to check what you've done. Yeah. Are you doing anything to prevent if the last item in the course is the one that you have wrong? Does it take like 5 minutes for the marble to get to the end? How do you prevent that from getting tedious to say do the first 90% until you get to the part where you have a problem?
Well, none of our courses will last for 9 minutes or what is it? Your typical starting a marble from start to finish will never take more than 15 to 20 seconds. So it's a short period of time. Thank you.
Next up is Capsule.
Hello, my name is Radu Ziemba. I represent Capsule Studios. First, I want to start with a little story. I was last night meeting many people from inside the room, having fun, drinking beer and all that stuff. And after 6 beers and talking with my colleague Daniel, who's not here, I said, "Oh God, Daniel, I forgot to make the presentation." So what you see here is from 2 a.m. in the midnight till 3. So let's go. Capsule Studios. The team that worked on the game, Mad CEO. Mihai Urs Nicolae was the main artist, Valentin was the programmer, me and George do all the other stuff that needs to be in the game. Past projects we worked on. We worked basically on mobile. We had like many releases. Some of them were really successful. Dunkers made 2.5 million downloads, so it was really, really cool. Okay, introducing our game, Mad CEO. I think like every good game, we need to have a story or a song. I think there's a band in England called Queen that has a song that goes like, Mad CEO, I want to play Mad CEO. Okay, yeah. Let's see some fun facts about our game. Everything in our game is based on fun. Just in Time is a character inside our game. Just like the conference, he likes to be just in time. He likes typing, speed writing, and being on time. Early riser. He is old, but he always will be an early riser. He likes pen suspender and grammar, and dislikes grammar mistakes. And this is the designer that really wanted to put himself in the game for some reason, so we have that going. And he likes dodges. Other fun facts in our game. I should have the Lord of the Rings team going now. The 1 gift to rule them all. 1 gift for the Mad CEO in his mad throne. 2 for the accountant kings. 3 for the manager lords. And 5 for the mortal workers. We have type-to-type connections. 404. Type was not found error. And we also have a perk inside the game. We call it the Y-Phone 7. Yeah, so what's the game about? It's an idle clicker incremental simulator. Yeah, that's Michael Jackson there for some reason also, and he's called Rocky Paper Feller. Yeah. Okay, so the basic system of the game, you are the boss in this game, and you hire people and level them up to make more and more and more money. In this build, you end up having septasexagentillion, which is a huge number. It has like 200 zeros. Okay, so you build up your first company, and you have 6 workers. In the first one, every time you level up, you get a share, which is our main bonus in the game. At 200 cells, you can sell the first company and go to the next one and unlock a new character and a lot of other cool stuff. For example, we love to have the best of the both worlds. There are clicker games and idle games. We have a skill tree inside the game. We have a skill tree, you can play it in the clicker mode where you want to click, 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 and idle mode where you can just wait and make money offline with huge bonuses over time and a lot of other cool stuff. Yeah, so those shares that I told you about, in this room is the Mad CEO's room. You can buy a lot of cool stuff, like the Mona Lisa painting, a huge vault, but this is also the door to the other room where the people are, so I know how huge this can be. And this is, for all my Romanian friends, the Cumințenia Pământului statue, if you remember it. Yeah. We also have a stock market game where you have to buy low and sell high. This helps you make a lot of money. The graphic goes on and on for some time. So it's a cool addition to the game. It's unlocked at the third company. Other key aspects, we have like 366 achievements. Those weren't planned, so it's one for each day. We have analytics behind the game to construct the game around them and to have the feedback of the user in mind, and cool music made by a friend of ours from the Vita de Vie band, Mihai Ardelean. And the monetizations, we have the users that go through video rewards and in-app purchases. Yeah, future plans with the games, we want to develop it and sell it also on Steam and also on the mobile platforms. Yeah, and I had a video of the game, but for some reason it doesn't work. No network in this room. Thank you, and in come we trust. Any questions here?
There are many games like this on Google Play and App Store. What's yours different?
It has a story. Okay. Our game has a story. First of all, you impersonate the Mad CEO, and every character has a description and has a continuity of the story behind the next one. Also, the first company, you start in a small indie business. It's really small. Then the third and fourth company are like full glasses of buildings, and the fifth and the sixth one, you have sci-fi version and ending up into space and buying an alien character that... Yeah, I spoiled it for you, but just for you, so...
Why would I want to go back to the office?
Everybody has that feeling that wants to have a business and control workers and put them to work, and they never rest, so you have that thing going for you. And you can have the control on every aspect of how much money they make and all that stuff. We have, like, for example, every character has 100 plus upgrades, like you've seen, with cool names and funny names. Also, they have boosters that increase their revenue per 5 minutes or so, that you can come back and click on them. And so basically it's a huge experience with a lot of clicking involved. We have one player in beta that clicked it for 1.5 million times, so yeah.
In what industry is the company based in? I don't know if I caught that. Or can you choose the industry?
You can choose the industry. We heard that one before. Every character is based on a different type of industry. For example, at some point, we made the character a lawyer, and we made a cool name around that job. And also, we have Johnny Johnny Typer, who's like the Johnny Walker. So he's the beverage guy that makes stocks and all that around. We also have a robot that's called the Type-Minator. So we have a lot of cool stuff. That's it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Amused Sloth is next.
Hi. So I just wanted to get you into the story about a bit of disco history. And there's nothing more disco and more flamboyant than Studio 54. This used to be an amazing club in the States, and well, all the crazy things happened. And based on the story, an urban legend from Studio 54, we started our game Disco Dave. There is a legend from Studio 54 that said that the DJ was pointing to where you should step next on the dance floor, and it was considered a big mistake, a faux pas, to step on the same tile twice. And from this mechanic, we evolved Disco Dave. This is an early prototype. This is how the basic mechanic started. It was jumping, not always changing the tile while you go. So obviously from this early prototype, it also got its name. We were doing a meeting and Disco Dave came up, and from this, all the other characters, most of them are alliterations. So it also got in a version of Disco Dimitri, but that one got scrapped. You can see the full roster of characters. They're all extremely colorful. They're all really with a lot of personality, and all of them refer to pop culture items or to things that were really common in cartoons back in our childhood days. Obviously, we decided to develop the game under the peace sign and the symbol of unity, and all to remember the eras of the 60s, 70s, and 80s with all their peace, flamboyance, and neon lighting. This is also, it's early, so this is not yet finished. You will see the finished version at the end. But this is when we got the basic mechanics down to playing it. You can see that you have to avoid the tiles. You can see that there's something happening with the DJ. But also in this phase, we didn't manage to get the player to understand that you're supposed to do different combos to increase your points. So basically, we tried different versions. Some are confusing, some are completely baffling, to cue the player into building combos and chasing the high score. So thankfully, we got to a point where we got a lot of people to join the beta testing. We had 120 people joining our beta test, and from that feedback, we got some amazing input, and we managed to come with a final version of how people would better understand how to play our game. Obviously, when we launched, we kept this theme of being a dance show, being something extremely extravagant, and we went with this posters of this type of like dancing show, introducing the characters and the whole cast. These are some of the reviews that we got from our players. And obviously, this game is designed to be a time waster. I'm not sure if it's a genre by itself, but this is what it is. It was called like that by Touchercade, but also a really fun high score chaser by the people from Pocket Gamer. So these are some of the reviews, and we got really confident with this. Where we want to go next with this game, there are different ways and different paths we can take. One of them is basically providing new content for the players, because a lot of our players are people who are collectors, who like to have new stuff, new characters, and play the game and chase the high score. So these are some of the characters that we presented to our players. 2 of them got voted and they got into a new update. And also we want to support other things, since the music is extremely catchy, and you'll see it right at the end. You'll hear it right at the end. We're going to have more tunes for people to dance to, but also we're going to add support for the people who are color blind, because it's a game that relies a lot on visual cues. So this would be the development process. The game is already launched, but we want to, in the spirit of our studio, we want to make games that bring a smile to your face and that are based around simple but extremely engaging and addictive mechanics. So this is us, the Amused Sloth, and we just hope that you enjoyed our time with us. And I'll just leave you to see how the game looks right now and how it plays. Thank you.
I tried the game a little bit, and it seems pretty difficult, or maybe I'm not good at it. I was curious how many points how many floor touches does a player usually get? Do you have an average of that? I'm just curious about how long is the session length, and how many tries does a player usually go through in a session?
All right, that's like 3 in 1. Let me remember the first one. Okay, so basically, yes, the game is intended to be difficult and to be, let's say, easy to pick up but hard to master. There are 2 layers in the game. So one is staying alive and managing to hit the colored tiles and not fall on the gray ones and, get kicked from the dance floor. But the second layer of the game is managing to perform the combos that are cued by the DJ. The more combos you do, the multiplier grows. So basically, we have had players who have managed to reach combos of 50 times the points. So they have managed to hit 50 times, not only by staying alive, but 50 times multipliers. So the game takes a bit of practice. It's really easy to play, and so that's why our sessions, though the game is quite short, our sessions are, let's say, comparatively longer than for this type of game. So we have had sessions of even 10 minutes. So that's quite long for this, just because it's so easy to restart and replay the game. And yeah, we have had scores. Which one was the highest? 600,000? We have an 800,000 points. So yes, it's a rough climb to the top of the high score chart.
Do you have lives in game, like in Candy Crush or something? You have a limited time in the game if you fail to dance well?
There is no time or energy-based mechanic. So basically, it's just your skill and your ability to focus on what's happening there. So you're limited just by your own ability. Monetization, so we have 2 tiers of monetization. One is based on in-app purchases. All of the characters, you can unlock them via in-game currency, but also you can buy them if you choose to. We also have some characters that are unlockable through other actions in the game. And we have video on demand, which is ads, and also interstitials from time to time. All right, thank you very much.
WebTech is next.
Hi, my name is Fazaka Ciprian, and this is my game, Virtual World. Let's begin. We are focused on online, mobile, social, PC, and VR in this game. Virtual World, it will increase the ability of people to telecommute and work together across national board. I'm not used to this kind of speech. Virtual World is a game where you can have your second identity. You can play on your PC, mobile, web, or with virtual reality. You can choose. The game brings your virtual obtaining assets into your real life. You can work, play in the casino, have your own business, make money, play with your friends, everything you can do almost in real life. So, gameplay. Start playing the game and choose whatever real world assets you like. Then play on to manage and develop your own business. Compete with the other game players to become the best. So, here are real assets. You know, this is a car, this is a apart hotel, and this is milk. You know what is milk is? Yes? Okay, let's see how we can put this into the games. First game that I don't know is the first, but I think so. I am so crazy, so maybe it's not another like me. Would you pay €9 for day for this car? No, it's too expensive? Okay, maybe we can put 5, I don't know. Let me speak. So, or 60 for this. Or if you don't want the cars, then you can buy with this cow with €25 in the game, yes? You can buy it. And this cow, it's only you pay single time, and then you have milk, you know? A cow give you milk. It's okay. so chicken, you can buy chicken, and everything you want, yeah? So it's not a problem. So, this is Unity. I buy from Unity, so Unity helped me to be here, like right now. So it's not finished, but here it's a mission. Yes, you have to go with this, and you have the longest way. If you reach to the longest way into the database, you will win. So it's easy. It's not very hard, you know. So where we are going. We start with 120 apartments in real life, and add this into the gameplay. Yes, one hotel to ski, another hotel in Băile Felix, 10 cars, yes, and one farm with milk and chicken and all the stuff there together. So all the assets in real life will be owned by the players of the game. So it's very important. So if you buy a cow, you have milk. So it's easy. So let's go further. So this is Romania ski hotel. You cannot see the hotel. It's behind the trees. Yes, but it's a nice one. Yes, you can ski there. It's very nice. You have everything you need. So. Our current status is like this. When I go to the bank, I say, okay, I need money to make this game happen. What do you need money? Boy, I don't need that kind of money. So, approved bank, I have this kind of money. From European Union, our colleague Tavi we have for the milk, you know. Yes, to have milk. And pre-approved credits are 400 €. You can see it right there. And not too scared when I go to the bank and say, okay, I need 1 million. I say, what do you have 1 million for this? I say, okay, I have to buy cars and every stuff you have. Okay, the bank director asked me, okay, is this legal? You can buy bullets in your game? Yes, it's only virtual bullets. It's not real bullets. Okay. So he said to me, okay, you have pre-approved, but first you have to convince some other game industry that you can come with 20% of this game, of this money. So I will give you the money and see what you can do with this. So this is our little team and this crazy idea. And that's it. So ask questions if you have. Here is also from Unity. I buy it from there. You can play blackjack and you can win the not only the milk, also the everything you have in real life. Thank you. Who's next?
Thank you. Next, and our last presenting team is Ricodo.
Let's see. Got the slide? Okay. So, hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm the founder of Ricodo. I'm sure you haven't heard of the studio, but hopefully by the end of today's presentation you'll know more. And I'm here to talk to you about Second-Hand Frankie's Revenge, which is our first game. It's a game that was born in April as a Ludum Dare entry. If you're not familiar with Ludum Dare, it's essentially the biggest game jam in the world. We got together a team of 5, did this quick and dirty prototype in 3 days, and then we liked the idea so much we decided to just keep going with it and got to where we are now. So Second Hand it's an action game that is focused on combat, on really satisfying combat, on quirky characters, and a interesting environment. It's all about gameplay, but we want to make it fun and interesting and a little bit humorous as well. So it's set in this world of machines, and the way we'd like to portray the world, because again, it's an action game, so there won't be a ton of story throughout it, but we'd like to portray the world through the environment. We want to sort of suggest at this world that's been built by robots, not particularly smart robots, for other robots to live in. So even though in the demo we don't necessarily have that much of that, we do have some architecture sort of suggestions in it, and we'd like to see things like, where do robots go at a bar, or how do they service themselves when robots need a spare something. So that's going to be the sort of the place where the game happens. The goal for the player is essentially to get revenge. Frankie's out for revenge against the bad robots that did this to him, that left him for dead somewhere in a scrap pile. And it will be structured as a campaign containing a set of missions that you sort of play through and try to face the evil bosses at the end. What you see in the picture now is the first gang. These are the cleaners, the junior cleaners, the senior cleaners, and Junkyard Joe, who's kind of the big boss at the end waiting for you. So we're looking to create these individual kind of missions that you can play through as an experience, almost as an independent experience, and play through many times, but there will be a campaign sort of linking the missions together as a story. So we've talked a bit about the world, what you're trying to do, who are you as a player. So you play as Frankie, who is this, I don't know if you can really see in the pictures, but you're kind of a made-together robot. So the special skill that Frankie has is that he can customize his body using pretty much anything for a body part. So you want a fridge for a torso on a tank chassis, wielding a chainsaw and a katana, we've got you covered. You want some boiler as a torso, rolling on top of a lawnmower, and having a diver's helmet, that works too. But it's not just aesthetics. So we do want to sort of stand out with the the look of the characters, make them interesting and funny. but we want to also make them behave differently. So the Frankie configuration, the 5 slots, they all have a purpose. So you've got the head, the torso, the 2 arms, and the legs. The torso gives you kind of passive abilities, you know, like the amount of health, how fast you can move. If it's a very big, bulky torso, you'll move slower. You know, the resistances you have. The legs will give you special mobility skills. Right now, you only have a leg boost, so you can sort of zoom away faster. But, you know, we have ideas for other kinds of mobility skills. The weapons obviously give you different attack types. And, you know, the heads give you special powers. So we want to make the customization of the character meaningful, not just aesthetic. And as I said, so this is a game centered on combat. The main component, the main goal with the game was to make for some satisfying, you know, clicking combat experience. So the way we've done this, we've tried to, again, create these unique weapons where they're not just stat pools. So Diablo obviously is among our list of influences. Or I say obviously, you have to play the game to see it, but it, you know, there are similarities. But I think one point of differentiation is that they're not just stat pools. So, you know, you're using the katana, it's like a fast 3-hit kind of weapon that, you know, does high damage to a single enemy. You're using the baseball bat that does damage to 3 or 4 different enemies and has a bigger chance to stun them. So there's some strategy, there's some strategic options that open up to you as you choose these options. And we want to enable different play styles by you know, giving you these choices. What we've tried to do, and I hope the demo convinces you of that, if you haven't had a chance to try it out, I invite you over to the not very visible booth on the second floor. If you haven't tried it out, I can tell you what we've tried to go for is mix the sort of tight arcade-like controls with physicality, with the nice physical effects that you can get. You know, when an enemy blows up, you can see him sort of just all the parts flying away as you've sort of broken him into pieces. So I think we've gotten a pretty good mix of the arcade controls that give you this nice, satisfying click, 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 I'm killing this guy, with the effects and the animation and the sounds that make it satisfying. So what's next? Right now we've got a prototype, and I'll show you a quick video at the end. We've got a prototype that has a short demo level. We've got a few weapons, we've got a few enemies. We've got maybe 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of gameplay. What we have planned there are really 3 core things where we'd see the game expanding. So first of all, we want to increase diversity. Right now, there are just 2 types of enemies. You only have, I think, 3 types of weapons. So we want to create more parts. We want to create more enemies. We want to create environmental diversity. Right now, it's fairly static, but we see it as being much more, you know, much more a place where things are happening. Maybe there are environmental hazards, you know, obstacles you have to go around. There won't be many puzzle elements, but maybe some things, you know, maybe at the level of pick up the blue key card kind of thing. So that would be one core thing, to do to increase the diversity, to make it more interesting. The second thing would be to really play on this customization, so add to it. Right now, you've got some service stations that you go into and you come out as a different configuration of Frankie, but we'd like to, as the pictures suggest, give you the option to customize the robot as you go into combat. And you unlock these parts as you sort of progress through the campaign and gain experience. So the player progression system would allow you to use more components and more skills. And I do think there's potential for giving aesthetic choices and potentially even charging for that. You know, things like the Team Fortress hats, that sort of thing. And then the third thing, which I think would give the game longer replay value, is multiplayer. So right now it's a pure single-player game, but we definitely see it as a co-op experience at least. So as I said, the missions are meant to be independent. We're designing them to be sort of independent experiences. So if you can play with 2 or 3 other friends, I think this could give it a lot of replay value. Since I'm sure no one here has heard of our studio, I will spend 1 minute talking about it. So Ricodo's indie studio. I founded earlier this year in April. It's almost typical story. I quit my job as director of product development and managing director for a real estate company, so real estate software company. And in April, I got together with some guys, and right now, there are really, outside of me, there are 7 people contributing to the project, but they're all working full time. So, some people are contributing more, some less, depending on how much time they have available. I'm totally focused on the project, and the company is, or really the credo that I'm going for is fun gameplay. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it really fun, not, I really appreciate games like Interrogation, but that's not the thing we're trying to do. Ludum Dare was awesome. That was a interesting thing when I was programming part of the AI. We needed a dance animation. That wasn't a dance animation, but I thought I could almost use it for a dance animation. And to end, before we go to the video, so the master plan, where we are right now. Essentially, this is our first public showing of the game, so we're really focused on gathering feedback. That's point number 1. Point number 2 would be spending a few more weeks polishing the prototype we have right now before we go to greenlight. And then step number 4 is to find the right choices in terms of financing to develop this game to its full extent, because, as I said, content-wise, there's still a lot we need to do. All right, thank you, and I'm going to close with a short video, which I'm going to cut even shorter because I'm running low on time. I'm short on time. So that was a glimpse of the video. It's not, the current version is a little bit better looking because we made the trailer in a big rush and it was kind of darker. But I encourage you all to come over to the booth and play the game to see where it's at now. Thank you. The last slot is tough. All right, thank you very much then.
Thanks to the 6 pitchers. Now we'll take a 20-minute break. We're just going to announce the winners right now, the winner and runner-up, and we'll have a little award ceremony at the end of the day today before the screening of the Raw Indie Van documentary on the main stage. So, but just so right now we're only going to announce the winner and runner-up. So, runner-up, and they win. The team wins. The runner-up team wins tickets to the Casual Connect event in Berlin next year. Interrogation. Guys, come up here, please. And the winner of the indie pitch of the Dev.Play indie pitch competition, winners of €1,000 cash prize and a sponsorship for the Casual Connect event and participation in the indie prize competition. The winner is Second Hand. Congratulations. So that concludes. We'll do a little short award ceremony at what hour is it exactly? So 6 p.m. Right before we screen the Rowing Event documentary, we'll do a 5-minute award ceremony. So make sure you all of you are there. And thanks for thanks to all the participants, thanks to the jury, and we look forward to doing more of these next year as well. Thank you.